Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial video, we are going to make a safari finger puppet set. Hi, my name's Mary with Sewing for Madison. I love crafting. It's my passion and I love showing others how easy and fun it can be. I'm really excited about today's project. I absolutely love making finger puppets. They're super quick, super easy. They're made out of felt or other fabrics, so they're very inexpensive to make, and they're a great pretend play item. You can make them as gifts for your own children or to sell. It's a great item. Today's pattern is from Ohana Applique Designs. I will put a link down in the description for where you can find this design. So with finger puppets, there's a couple different ways that you can make them. When you get the design from Ohana, it comes each individual file. So for example, if you have a 4x4 hoop machine, you're able to make this set. So there's usually one 5x7 bag, one 4x4 bag, and then all of the finger puppets and accessories are usually done in a 4x4 hoop. If you have embroidery software, you can merge all of those together and put it all in a bigger hoop, or you can just stitch out each individual design. For our tutorial purposes today, we are going to be stitching out each individual puppet and bag. So some of the supplies that we're going to need for today's project are a medium weight cutaway stabilizer, our 4x4 and 5x7 hoops. We need 2 pieces of ribbon for our bag, and then our various felt and fabric pieces. Let's go ahead and get started on this project. The first thing we're going to do is select our designs. I like to get the bags done first, so I'm going to do the biggest bag first, which is the 5x7. Alright, now let's go get our fabric ready. Okay, here are the things to get us started on this 5x7 bag. I have my medium weight cutaway stabilizer here and my dirty felt hoop. I'm going to go ahead and hoop my stabilizer. Okay, and then here are the pieces of felt that we are using. So I'm going to be using a blue background for the sky. Then I'm going to be using this piece as an applique on the bottom for grass. Here's our applique piece for our sun. And then I actually have 2 pieces of ribbon. So this ribbon is white on one side and I really like it. It matches the colors very well. So I'm going to show you a little hack that I use for turning this into a double-sided ribbon without having a sewing machine. So let's head over to my ironing pad and I'll show you my hack. Okay, here is my hack. I'm going to use this product, Steam a Seam 2, and it's going to be a double-sided fusible tape. This stuff is awesome. I use it on a ton of different things. So I have one open already. What I'm going to do is on one of the ribbons, I'm going to put down along the edge 1 strip of this. Okay, just like so. And then because this is a little bit wider, I actually need 2 strips. So I'm going to go very close to the edge and do this second strip. And how this stuff works is it's sticky on one side and it has paper on the other. So when you put your iron down, it activates the glue. So you just hold your iron on there for a few seconds to heat up that glue. I have it at a pretty low heat right now because I don't want to burn my ribbon. Okay, once it is all heated up, the paper part will pull away. Okay, and then you put your ribbon on the other side and you press it again. Make sure you line up your edges good. Okay, and you're going to press one more time to activate the glue to stick to the other side of the ribbon. Okay, all finished. So now we have a double-sided ribbon. Before I get too far in my tutorial, I wanted to show you guys how I store and organize my small felt pieces. So I use this little storage cart here. I got it off Amazon and it's really great. So I have it organized out by color. So all the orange pieces, the reds, the yellows, and so forth. So I have white, cream, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, brown, and then a black/gray. And it works really well to organize those scraps. Okay, the very first step is going to be our placement stitch. I'm going to do that in black so you guys can see it better. Okay, our next step is going to be attaching our ribbon. I like to just tape my ribbon down at the same time so that I don't have to do this, remove my hoop twice. You want to do a length that just gives it a nice handle. You're going to tape that down over the placement line area. And then back to the machine. Okay, now that we have our ribbon secured, I like to cut off a little bit extra ribbon because I don't want it showing through. So I'm going to remove the tape and I'm just going to trim those back just a little bit. Okay, now we are ready to place our back fabric down. And I'm going to use a little bit of basting spray to secure this piece of felt down. I recommend that you spray over a trash can and do not spray directly on your cutting table or your hoop because it gets everywhere. Now, basting spray is temporary. This is a lengthy stitch out, so I am just going to use a pin on this side here and also a pin on this side here, and you can see I'm nowhere near my stitch line, so my foot is not going to hit those, and that's going to keep that piece of felt from shifting around in the hoop. Back to the machine. Okay, now we are ready to do our applique fabric here. So you can see that our sunset stitching is kind of a nice little ombre. Now that I look at the blue, the sunset colors are not popping as well. I think that if I was to do this bag again, I might pick a different color background, maybe something a little bit lighter, a cream, a really light yellow, something like that might be a little bit nicer, but we're gonna make this work. So here is our golden sun. I'm gonna put that right on the top here and back to the machine.
Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, won't you please shine down on me? Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun.
Okay, now I'm going to trim up this applique piece. Okay, and my next step is going to be the grass. So this step in our process, this bottom part is not a true applique, but I'm going to go ahead and after the machine does this straight line across, I'm going to stop it and trim off the fabric because the grass is going to go up into the sunset a little bit. So it's not an applique, but I'm going to make it into one. You'll see. Okay, so now you can see that the grass is sewn on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my applique scissors and carefully cut around these stitches. I'm going to come in at an angle on the side. And then just round it out. My hand might be in the way of the camera, but sorry, I'm a righty, so to do this pull upwards just slightly. Okay, just like that. Now it is time to sew the top part of the bag. So you do this step so that you have a nice finished line right across here. Okay, so we have our top line secured. I'm going to go ahead and remove my pins. I'm going to flip my hoop over and I'm going to attach the back fabric of my bag. You can just tape this on. Our bag is now complete. I want to do one extra thing, and that is to cut in between the little grass spikes, and that is going to give the grass a little fringe look. You don't have to do this, but I think it'll look better if I do this. So I'm going to just take a really small pair of scissors and just do a couple snips in between some of the longer grass shreds. It may be hard to see it on the camera, but it actually does look pretty cool with the little slits in it. Almost done. Okay, so there is my little grass tufts. All right, so I'm gonna remove my hoop and then I'm gonna show you how to cut this so that you don't cut your ribbons off. Okay, so what I like to do is cut these 3 sides first. You want to leave about maybe not even 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on the side here. And you want to make sure that you're using a really sharp pair of scissors because I am cutting through many, many layers of felt plus that stabilizer. Okay, I'm going to make this next part a little easy for you. So I'm just going to come to the inside here and do one straight snip all the way down. Same thing on the other side. Okay, now what I'm going to do is fold this down, flip this over, I'm going to fold this down so that I don't accidentally cut it, and I'm going to cut this middle part out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this forward, just like this, and then I'm going to cut the stabilizer and that back chunk off even. With that other line, just like that. Same thing on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to flip the bag over and do that one more time on the front sides. Got one little stitch back here, or I should say thread tail, to trim. Get this mess out of the way. And there is our completed 5x7 bag. So it opens like that. I don't really care that you can see those stitches. If that bothers you, before you put this back piece on, you can put like some adhesible fusible mesh or something to make it all pretty, but I don't really care too much about seeing that, and the kids don't care either, so that's again personal preference. So our 5x7 bag is done. Let's go ahead and work on our 4x4 bag next. Okay, so for our 4x4 bag, I have a couple different supplies here. I have my 4x4 hoop. I have my piece of Cutaway stabilizer. I decided that I want to make a green Jeep, so I have a piece of scrap felt here for the green, and then I need a little bit of piece for the bumper. This is going to be applique piece, and then it also has a windshield applique. So I like to use this piece of vinyl for windows. I think that it works very well for that because it's kind of shiny and glimmery and looks like a window to me. So we're going to use that. And then we have a smaller piece of ribbon. This one's double-sided, so no need to make it a double-sided like we did the first bag. Let's go ahead and get started with this. going to attach the ribbon here and here. And just like on our first bag, we're going to trim back the ribbons. And I'm going to use some of my temporary adhesive spray on the back side of this piece to hold it down. And then some pins. Now we're going to take our applique scissors and cut around the outside edge. Okay, now it's time to cut around this applique. Also, if you guys are curious on what this was that I was using on the stitching, this is just a silicone spatula. I got it at the dollar store, and I use it to hold down the edges of my fabric during appliques and not my actual finger, because you never want to do that for safety reasons. So this, it doesn't matter if a needle punctures it or not. It's gonna be safe with the silicone. It's not gonna break your machine, but it is gonna save your fingers. Okay, our bag is now complete. I'm going to remove it from the hoop, and we just need to trim all around this. So I will do that in a second. You can see how I have the black bobbin thread on the back, and then your black top thread on the top, and our nice little windows. So before we move on, I would like to talk to you about using contrasting colors on your finger puppets. These are two examples of one that is right and one that is wrong. These are felties, but I wanted to just grab them real quick as an example. So what you don't want to do is use blended colors like this. So on this clown, I used a red thread to do the hair. It doesn't pop very much. I did use black down here for the bow tie, but you can see that the hair just does not stand out. This is incorrect, okay? Here is the correct way. I used black to outline the white, and I also went black around the horn as well. This is an example of contrasting outlining colors versus not contrasting outline colors. Again, this is a preference, but the standard rule of thumb is this is incorrect and this is correct. So you guys can be the judge of that. I will be making my finger puppets in a contrasting color form. Since I'm using scrap fabric, I like to pin my felty or finger puppet fabric down so that the felt doesn't move. You can, I don't recommend using the sprays for the finger puppet part because the kids are going to be putting their fingers up inside these. And even though I'm using Cutaway stabilizer, I don't like to have any extra chemicals up in there. So I just use 4 pins just like this, and it holds the fabric very well so that it doesn't move around. You can use tape, however, I've had better experiences using pins than tape. Okay, our alligator is now done. We're going to remove that from the hoop and cut all the way around. I like to leave about a 1/8 of a seam allowance around the stitches. Okay, our alligator is finished, except for just trimming up some jump stitches there and the stitches on the back. So the bottom part is what is going to be open, and you can slide fingers in there. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch up the rest of the finger puppets. So enjoy this time-lapse video. I'm going to go over some pro tips with you that will help you work on your next embroidery project. During the time-lapse video, you may have noticed that I kept switching out my bobbin thread. I would use white, then I would use black, and there's a couple reasons for that. When you are working on a lighter material like tan or a white, sometimes depending on your machines, if you're using a white bobbin thread with a black top thread, the bobbin thread can show through just a tad. It doesn't have to do with a tension issue. That's just the way that some machines work. So on my machine, that's one of the downfalls of it. So I switch out to a black bobbin thread when I'm using a dark black color on a lighter material. It gives a nice finished look. You also noticed in the video that after you do the placement stitch for the finger puppets, your next step is to put your fabric down. I pinned my fabric in place. I like to use pins versus tape because it's more secure. So when you're pinning your fabric down, you just want to make sure that your presser foot is not going to hit those pin heads. Otherwise, it will break your needle and possibly break your machine. Make sure it does not catch those pins. Now, when we were cutting all the finger puppets, you'll notice that I left a really good 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I did not go any larger than that or smaller. It gives it a really nice crisp finish look. Now, one last thing, actually two last things to talk about. Remember to use contrasting outline colors. So on this tiger, for example, the outline stitch is done in black instead of in orange. It makes the finger puppets really pop and stand out. So remember, correct contrasting outline stitches. My last pro tip is to help you reuse some of those empty spools that you might have laying around. So the finger puppet is actually on an empty spool of thread. I believe these are the 1,000 meter. The 500 meter spools tend to be a little thicker round, and a lot of the finger puppets don't actually fit over that shaft. So if you have 1,000 meter ones, the smaller spools, you can easily fit finger puppets on them. My daughter actually prefers to play with these finger puppets with the spools inside, and it cuts down on our waste in the landfills. I hope that you really enjoyed watching this tutorial today. Make sure that you smash that like button and you subscribe to my channel for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Until next time, happy crafting.